popular book a while back called Love is the Killer App. Since it was published, many killer apps have emerged and continue to populate this digitized world. Once a month or so, we invite technology expert Lindsay Smith to Studio 4 to keep us connected. Pleasure to welcome digital diva Lindsay Smith back to the broadcast, and I should say digital living evangelist.
Yes. Isn't that a cool title?
Yeah.
I made it up.
Did you make it up? We can call you DLE. The DLE.
The DLE. Exactly. I think it's all about making up titles these days.
Well, when I first met you, we called you the Wired Woman.
Yes, because I was the president of the Wired Women's Society.
Exactly. And now you're a CEO of Massive Media, Inc.
It's true.
So the massive digital living evangelist.
Yeah.
Why not?
Not just a little one, a massive one.
A massive one. Thin and gorgeous one, yes. So killer apps and other apps. I was reading Urban Daddy the other day, one of my newsletters, and they have an oyster.
An oyster app?
Yes, if you
haven't
want to
seen
know
that
everything
one.
you ever want to know about oysters.
Okay.
It's called Oyster App or whatever it is, and there's 250 oysters you can read about.
You can read it. Well, it's true that you can actually get for just about everything. Wasn't it the Apple commercials that started off saying that? And apps are no longer just applicable for Mac products. We're talking about apps for Google Android phone and for other smartphones as well. So we're getting into there's a lawsuit going on right now, or talk of a lawsuit for Microsoft actually going after Apple and saying that you cannot trademark the App Store. They're challenging the trademark. Because Apple says that the App Store is their brand. There's controversy over whether or not, well, aren't apps made for everybody now? Everybody has an App Store. So really it's going to be challenged, and it's hard to say which way it'll go, but.
Well, they make fun of my fondly call it the ghetto phone.
Which one is it, Fanny?
It's the Razor.
You still?
Yes.
Fanny!
I'm telling you. Takes me a while to text. I know I have to iPhone up.
At least you're texting now. I remember a couple years ago.
Oh no, I text like a fool.
I love you for that.
I have to slowly text because I've got and it takes a picture of that phone. That's good.
That's true.
It doesn't have many apps on it.
No.
No.
It's I think the best phones, if you want to get into the app world, are phones that run the Google Androids or the iPhone still.
Okay.
BlackBerry is trying to be competitive in that area, but the consumer feedback for the most part is it's just not fast enough in loading the apps, and the screen isn't rich enough. I know that they've come out with a crisper screen resolution.
Right.
It doesn't give that same photo quality and look that the others do.
Okay, but if you're a Mac girl, should you buy an iPhone? Your smartphone, the question is, should your smartphone connect with your type of computer, the type of computer you own?
It's a good question.
Matter?
It doesn't do. I think it's more about what kind of phone works for the type of user that you are, because all phones all smartphones typically can be compatible with any Mac. Like I've had a Mac for many years, and I've had along the way as well, and I've interchanged a lot of them, and there's no problem there. The nice thing about having an iPhone with a Mac is there is a lot of data backup using Mobile Me, so it's really, really easy to get all your contacts, your address book, and syncing without even having to plug it in.
And I always say, keep it simple, as simple as it can be.
It is simple when you're using the iPhone with the Mac.
In this wired world, that is such a beautiful iPad you have there.
Yes.
Lots on yours.
Well, for many years I've been coming here, and I usually have to bring in my papers. Like you have your papers on your desk, and it's so nice to have the freedom. This is a 3G enabled one where I can look up all my articles, I can do all of my research, and I don't have to carry anything around except the iPhone. I use it faithfully.
And you read novels on it, everything.
I use the most common things. I just started a workout routine, the P90X. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an intense workout routine. I'm on week 3, and it's a bunch of videos that are made by this guy named Tony. Anyway,
you're so disciplined.
videos. It's like it's an hour a day. But anyway, the point is I actually watch the videos on my iPad. I take them down to the gym, and I can do my cardio and my weights and everything to this workout video in the gym, which is really nice.
Out, of course, but what about the personal trainers? They're competing with the iPad.
It's kind of funny because I have my iPad up, and sometimes I do have the personal trainers beside, and they're like,
oh my,
get that out of here.
Right.
My client doesn't need to see that.
No, I was reading lost and found sites today. There's many lost and found sites. If you leave your iPad on the SkyTrain, there are sites you can go to see if somebody found it, that kind of thing, but who's legit and who's not? How on earth would you know?
Wow, that is a tough one, and I think that the best way is always consumer reviews. Like whenever you're going to look to see if you're going to use a website, actually go in and look at the Better Business Bureau or see if there's bad reviews. I often type in keywords and then put fraud or abuse, that, and see if anything pops up in forums. You can often get customer or even complaints.
Sure.
So lost and found complaints, and then you put in that website URL. That's always really helpful.
Well, Craigslist has a lost and found, as you know. But again, who do you then when I call you and say that's my iPad?
Yeah.
Should I give it up to you?
I think a better solution often is there's a product called, and there's several products that do this, but the one that I can remember is called Track It Back, and that will actually put a sticker on your phone and you register a serial number that's on the sticker, and then what happens is when something's lost, that company or that website takes care of the retrieval of the lost product and then gets it to the rightful owner.
Right.
So you pay for these little stickers. Some of the sites, you just pay the one-time use for the stickers. Others have an ongoing fee. But that's available as well.
Okay. As you know, probably because you're so in tune, The Social Network, the movie, hit it out of the park last night.
4 Golden Globes.
4 Golden Globes, which
so.
Usually suggests perhaps a few Academy Awards. Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook,
Yes.
featured.
Yes.
Tell me about your Facebook, in your opinion.
The future of Facebook, I think that they have absolutely mastered the social community as we know it. You've probably heard that MySpace is going through a little bit of trouble right now. They've just laid off 50% of, I think, about 1,000 staff. They have 200 million users, whereas Facebook has 500 million. I know or 600 million now. It's about 2 to 3 times what MySpace has. And MySpace is actually saying that perhaps they'll look at spinning off the company or going after a different niche. What happens is it's the same way Google kind of dominated the search engine space and owns 70% of the search engine space. Facebook is doing that for the online social community and kind of integrated apps. So in terms of social community apps, what we'll see is not necessarily someone coming in and pushing Facebook out for doing specifically the same thing, but someone will develop a new application that we haven't seen before that may steal people away.
Sure.
But I think a big is, and this ties into the whole concept of cloud computing and data in the cloud and apps kind of overlaying each other, is that in the world of Web 3.0, we're now seeing a time when the sites like Facebook aren't necessarily going to be moving forward. It's the apps that layer over top of it. Like, for example, Branch Out is an app that you go into Facebook and it lists your job history, people that you're connected to in your career and things like that, kind of like a LinkedIn.
So
It's more specific, but it layers over Facebook. So it takes all your friends and all your data from Facebook and it pushes it into a niche. And then you have that in several different areas. So you're seeing more and more sites and applications interact with each other.
So I don't know your sex life or your new friends. I want to know about your business acumen.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's what you want to use Facebook for, you'll tie in that app and be able to zone in more on what your interests are.
So in the MySpace situation, what didn't they have that Facebook has?
That's a good
what
question.
Are the
I think a lot of people ponder over this. I think one of the major arguments for where MySpace went wrong and where Facebook went right was when you sign up for Facebook, you signed up as you. You were able to go on there, search for someone from your high school, and all you knew was their name. Right? You didn't know their email address, you didn't have any other information, but you had their first name and their last name, it was on there. MySpace, you could sign up as any username, butterfly123, and you didn't necessarily have to make it possible. You could choose whether or not you wanted people to know your real name. So what happens is it becomes more of a masked community as opposed to being up forefront and center.
Okay, but can't you on Facebook be Lucy Lawless if you want to, even if that's not somehow your true friends figure it out? Is it possible?
You could have a fraudulent account.
Like what if you have a high profile?
Yeah.
You're a movie star.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. Then you want to be on Facebook, but you don't want all these people to be.
Well,
so you just refuse your friends, or how does it work?
Good question. What they often do is use a pseudonym for them. Sometimes they'll use their first name and their last name, or they'll go under, I guess, kind of like a pen name when you're an author.
Sure,
and you
or like Enkerding.
Yeah.
That's not his real name.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Didn't know that.
Yes. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I know you can refuse friends, but there you go. Tweeting. Who should tweet? Who shouldn't tweet? join up for Twitter? As you know, people are using it in business and certainly
Yeah.
in broadcasting.
There's two different, I think, types of tweeting and Twitter use. One is the social dialogue, where you're having conversations back and forth with your friends. That's one use for it. And another is for a micro news feed or a micro news blog. So I use it, for example, as a news feed. I only sign up for people, sources that are going to send me interesting articles and things that I want to hear about. And it gives me very specific information on niches that I want to follow.
Right.
Same with on the other side of it, I very seldom use or tweet about personal things. I'll often tweet about things that are going on with my career or within the industry, things that I think will educate other people. So I fall into the kind of that second category. But there are actually the most popular Twitter users are the ones that just sit there and have conversations and have hundreds and thousands of friends just because they are so social online.
Sure.
in a social way. So it depends on how you want to use it and what's more valuable to you. I'm a social person, not a social butterfly by any stretch of the imagination.
But tweeting could be good advertising or bad advertising. Tom Rackman, first guest, brilliant young author, leaves here and says, worst interview I've ever had.
Yes.
Or he says, best interview I've ever had. Or he says, mediocre. Or he says, whatever you do, tune in to Studio 4 if you can, no matter where you are. Now that's good.
It's powerful. It puts the message and the power in the hands of the users, and we're seeing this a lot in the customer service world for technology, where a lot of the bigger companies are starting to pay attention to their social feeds and how many times their company names are mentioned and what people are saying, so that they can troubleshoot when things go wrong.
Right, sure. And as you know, if you watch the soaps, or if you watch any TV show or in the movies now, people are holding up phones and even at concerts.
Yes.
The light of the telephone as opposed to the match.
Yes, that's so true.
We're not allowed to light them more at
I
concerts.
was in
the little flashlight.
Yeah. I was so surprised. I was at a concert a little while ago, and I couldn't believe I looked over the crowd, and it was just all mobile phones recording. And I thought, are we allowed to do this? I thought we weren't allowed to tape, but I think we've actually reached where it's just kind of a time where it's being allowed.
Sure. Well, where do you think it's out of control? Certainly in the seedy side of the pornography business, of course.
Right.
What worries about how fast this digital train is moving? Anything?
I find it's a lot of pressure for anybody to try and have to keep up with the amount of emails, social media, news articles. The information is incredibly diverse, and it's all at our fingertips, that it's impossible to actually keep up to speed with it, and yet people expect you to because it's available.
Sure.
And I think that it's see a backlash happening with a lot of people saying, I just no more social media, no more computers. I've just had enough. So I think that's got to balance itself out a little bit.
Sure, and certainly in education has to balance, because you can't be behind the times. And if you're teaching a young child who's growing up with a smartphone and a computer, it's hard to say, okay, do your penmanship.
Yes, yeah, it's true. Well, I don't know if you had heard, but there's actually a school in Yaletown that's into iPads into the classroom for the younger grades. So
and online voting coming in some countries, and I know it's been suggested here. And then you go into the whole area of who's watching. Is the vote count right? You know, we've had errors in voting with chads
it is easy. It will have to be
machines.
extremely secure, because it's not easy to hack into these things, but it happens.
Sure, but more people would engage in politics and voting if they didn't have a car in the rain and go to the voting booth. So it does make sense, because why don't you want more
especially
more
the younger
voters?
generation.
Especially the younger generation, and as the boomers age, who's going to be running the world?
We are? We, they?
We, they, whatever. 3D TV.
Yeah. Have you tried it?
What do you think? Yes.
Oh, it's insane.
I was in the store the other day with the glasses
with your glasses on.
Pretty cool.
It is amazing. It's a completely immersive experience. If there who are wondering, is 3D TV for me? There's a few things that you can think about. One is, do you watch a lot of sports? Is that important to you? Two, do you watch a lot of animated movies, because that's the content that's coming out right now. And 3, are you interested in doing videos and pictures in 3D? Because that is available now, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Imagine watching your children's soccer game in 3D.
Yes, I totally get, or the Super Bowl.
Or the Super Bowl.
Hello.
Yes.
And the thing is, you don't get dizzy anymore. Days of well, you weren't born then.
No,
They
I
had
remember.
Those plastic glasses, remember you could
Yes.
have red or green
Yes.
in the movie theater?
Yeah.
And now, really, you just don't.
Yeah. It's not
feel
as
the
bad.
dizzies.
It's not as bad. Some people do feel motion sickness. And did you know that actually 10% of people can't recognize the new 3D technology?
What does that mean?
They put on the glasses and it doesn't affect them.
Oh, so it's a brain-eye thing.
Yeah, they can't.
Really?
I
So
don't
they
know the
see
science behind it. I just know that people cannot, like the 3D television packages that are out right now, 10%
Right.
of them cannot enjoy it.
Well,
I
so
think
it
that's
looks
the
like
stat.
looks like a flat screen to them, you mean? Or they
It just
don't
looks like the
it?
double images. Because what
Wow.
happens is when you don't have, it looks like what it looks like when you don't have your glasses on.
Okay.
So it's kind of that double image on top of
And
each
it's
other.
the brain eye
blurry.
and all of that. So of all the things we should be looking at, probably cloud computing.
Do you know what that is, Fanny?
Well, you were explaining it to me a little bit, but and Ian, the producer, was trying to tell me a little bit about it. In layman's terms, it means what?
It's the concept that you're no longer storing software and data on your actual devices. It's being stored up on the internet and you're accessing it from multiple devices. So you're
anywhere
and from
I am?
anywhere in the world. Yeah, this concept that like instead of like Google Docs is an example of accessing something from the cloud where you could get onto any computer, log in and access that. Or I have a file sharing system box where I store most of my files on that Dropbox folder, and it sits on my computer as
Right.
if it's just a regular folder on my hard drive. But really, it's not sitting on my computer. It's taking up space on the internet. It's not taking up hard drive space.
Okay.
Access it from my iPhone, from my tablet, from a PC, from my Mac, any computer I log into, as long as I can have access to the internet or I've downloaded the software for it, these files are anywhere. I'm no longer attached to just one device. I can access it from as many devices as I want to.
Well, see, that's quite brilliant.
Isn't it?
Really. Do you think a day will come when we'll have solar energy to power up all these devices?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're living in a world of cords.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I think that we do have a lot of devices that are, well, no, actually, it's the calculators that are still solar.
I have one. Of course I would.
But I have one too. And the other day I was like, this thing isn't going on. And I went, oh, that thing called solar power. I'll just put that in the window.
Just put it in the window.
Oh, how simple is that? But no, there's solar-powered battery chargers for when you're camping. I've seen those. Yeah, so who knows? Possible.
Possible to see you again.